study the middle ear anatomy. Middle ear anatomy, after elevating the flap, you can see this flap has been elevated. What you see is the medial wall, anterior wall, up. This is the posterior wall, and that's the inferior wall. Different structures of the medial wall of the middle ear are visible in this endoscopy. Anteriorly, you can see the eustachian tube opening, beautiful eustachian tube opening. Just above the eustachian tube opening is the processus cochleoformis, from where the tensor tendon takes a turn to insert the medial aspect of the handle. This is the handle of the medius, and on disturbing the handle, you can see the movement of entire chain. Below the eustachian tube opening is the bone which separates it from the carotid, and this is the hypotympanum. You can see this is the posterior wall, and the space below the mesotympanum with the endoscope, you can see this is the retrotympanum, and space above the handle of medius, that is, which is obscured by this mucosal folds, that is the epitympanum. Now, on the medial wall, you see the bulge of the basal turn of cochlea, which is called promontory. On the promontory, the tympanic plexus is quite evident. From promontory, you can visualize, on disturbing the chain, you can see the movement of incus, and here obscured by this superior tendon is the oval window opening, which is above and behind the promontory. Now, below and behind the oval window, that's the oval window. Here is the round window niche. This is the round window niche. There is blood which is obscuring the round window niche. Here you can see that. Now, a bony ledge which starts from promontory to the pyramid. That's the pyramid pointing to the pic. That is the ponticulus. And a bony ledge starting from the round window opening to the styloid eminence, that is the subiculum. And this space, this space is the hidden space called sinus tympani. Now, this is the pyramidal eminence, and that is the superior tendon. So, hidden by superior tendon are the pleura of the stapes, which is here. You can see the incus movement, and below that is the stapes. So, the space below the pyramidal eminence is the subpyramidal sinus, and between the posterior pleura and the pyramidal eminence, that is the posterior sinus. So, we have three sinuses here in the retrotympanum: the posterior sinus, subpyramidal sinus, and the sinus tympani. Below the subiculum is the subsinus tympani, that is below this. And now you can see the promontory and this bony ledge. This is the funiculus, because it separates from hypotympanum. The retrotympanum is separated from the hypotympanum by this bony ledge, which is funiculus. And this is the anterior wall. You can see the eustachian tube opening. This bony ledge, see, beautiful bony ledge which is separating anterior wall from the that is the protympanum from the hypotympanum, that is the protineculus. Now, these are the structures on the medial wall, structures on the anterior wall, and on the posterior wall, you can see this is the pyramidal eminence. In the epitympanum is the fossa infundus, which is on the posterior wall, and hidden by this bone on the posterior wall is the facial. Now, facial canal, the horizontal facial canal is hidden by this fold. If we elevate this mucosal fold, we'll be able to see the facial canal. So, I will try to, there is chorda here, I will try to see if we are able to see the chorda. Now here, this is it. This is the chorda on the posterior canal. I don't want to destroy it, so I'll just leave it. Now it arises from the posterior wall and travels from posterior canaliculus to the anterior canaliculus, in between handle and incus, to exit the anterior canal and enter the oral cavity to give taste sensation to the tongue. So, this epitympanum is separated from mesotympanum by mucosal folds. So how the epitympanum is aerated? It is aerated by an isthmus or opening. The space between the tensor tendon. Now this is the cochlear form, so just above. We are not able to see the tensor tendon. Between the tensor tendon and the IS joint, or you can say the short pulsus sphincters, that space is the tympanic isthmus, from where mesotympanum, air travels from mesotympanum to the epitympanum. This is the anterior tympanic isthmus, and that small area between the short pulsus sphincters or posterior into the ligament and stapedius or pyramidal eminence of the posterior tympanic isthmus. So that is how the epitympanum is aerated from mesotympanum. There is another space, the prussac space, which you are not able to see, which is in the epitympanum. Thank you.